you guys. So today is day 10 on chicken patrol, and I'm out here. I fill up their water, and I needed to fill up their grit, and then I need to top off and clean this food dispenser. They have another one in there, but I'm going to go ahead and just get started and do this real quick, and then we'll go in and feed the birds. You can see here we've got the Start and Grow non-medicated birds. We try to keep our birds organic, and this is some pretty good stuff. The only thing I don't like is that it's Purina. Purina does animal testing, so we're not loving that, but this is what we have. So keep a scoop in here, and then go ahead and just top off this. I like to get it up kind of high. The birds are getting taller, you'll see here in a minute, but we don't want to have them strain to get into their food, so top it off. And it is interesting, you know, we put the grit in there, and the birds just seem to know when to eat it. They do that all on their own, which I think is crazy. Cows will do the same thing. You know, I'm not sure about other animals, but they'll do it naturally. I've always done this. I like to mix a little grit in with the food. This is just sand. I prefer oyster shells, and I live an hour and a half from the coast, so soon I think we're going to travel out there and get some oyster shells. So, alright, let's take a look at the girls. Hopefully the girls. See if anybody's by the door. They're not. And I just changed their waters, and you can already see straw in the waters, even though we just changed it. So here is everybody. Put that down so they can get to it. Put the grit down. We've lost two birds. Not quite sure why. But, you know, they get mailed to you, so in transport it does happen. So we're down to 18, but everybody's been doing really well. And you can see some of them are starting to feather out. The other thing we're doing while we're in here, I'm going to just take you off this stand, is we're going to look at their rear ends and see if anybody has pasty butt. Now, I've been in and out of here all morning, and I've been looking, and I haven't seen anybody with pasty butt yet. So that's a good sign, which means our treatment worked. A little apple cider vinegar in the water and cleaning them up. So far so good. I've also increased the height of the heat lamps because they were avoiding this whole area, and they were sticking over there, so I've increased the height of the heat lamps a little bit, and we'll keep an eye on them. And then one other thing I've done, I just want to show you real quick, but let me close this door. Under here are those laying buckets that I showed you before, which is very cool and easy to clean, so they're wonderful. But cold air was getting in there, so I've put this blanket over the top of that. And then what I also did is, you can see these little peepholes in here, so I can look at the birds. Ooh, let's see, yeah. We can see the birds without going in there, which is great, but in the cold of winter, that's just going to be a leaky situation. So I have these little pieces of insulation I've cut to size, and we'll go ahead and put those in place, and I've got one for here. And the top is vented all the way around. You can see the vent up there, but it's up here as well. It's got screening material all over it, but it is vented, so they still get a good exchange of air, even though they are locked up in the coop until they fully feather out. And once they fully feather, then we'll start letting them outside. But it's going to be winter time. I mean, we totally got these birds at the wrong time of the year. But we didn't know we were going to be staying in the country until that time, or until, you know, it was getting to be cold. Something else that you might want to consider if you have birds is one of these big fishing nets. We handle our birds, but we don't like them to be tame. We don't want them coming necessarily when we open a door or come out with food. Eventually they will come to the sound, but we want them to be leery, which tends to keep them alive longer. So while they're inside, we don't have to let them outside, but we did put up a temporary small little fencing area, and if a day gets 60, 70 degrees, we open up this little door and they can come out just to this little tiny area because they really haven't been outside yet. Eventually though, this is the feeding station we have under cover. They'll be, when they're free ranging, they'll have this whole section to that garbage can which has cracked corn in it, all the way down to this fence and this whole area in here, which is awesome. Sarah and I are out here. Hi, Sarah. Hi. With the chickens, and we've graduated up to the big feeder now. My husband has so many projects going on right now that he is really leaving the chicken feeding to me, and that's fine, the water and stuff. But what I'm finding is, see the feeder over there? It's almost all empty. I put it in here about 16 hours ago. God, the birds are getting so big, they're going to be able to go outside soon. Sarah peeping her nose in. So they need more ready access to food, because if for some reason I was not able to get out here one day, they would certainly be without food. So they're going to graduate to that little feeder over there. Still, that's a little bigger one. And then this bigger, even bigger one I'm going to put in here, so they'll have 2 feeders. And you can see how they decimated that squash over there. Perfect. So they're figuring out life. So I can't wait for them to be able to go outside. I want them just a little bit bigger. They're almost all of them are almost all feathered out, but I just want them a little bigger. And then we'll start letting them out on some days in a very restricted area. Anyway, so let's get that closed for a sec. And then I'm going to dump my feed in this, let's see, this feeder is, I don't know, 2.5 feet long, 32 inches maybe, something like that. And it's got the spinner on top. You know, chickens like to roost, so if they roost up here, it's supposed to spit them off so they don't poop in there. Doesn't really work really well. Chickens have surprisingly good balance. So anyway, I'm going to fill her up. And through the magic of YouTube, full. You can see I probably shouldn't have poured it from up high, but I have a feeling somebody is going to help clean that up. So let's grab a hold of this, keep my dog back a little bit. She still hasn't been face to face with the birds yet. She's not going to be for a while. Alright, so I've got that in there. Get away from the heat a little bit. That one's over. And over, you can see how much bigger that one is. So we'll leave them be. They've got enough grit. Water's changed out. And yeah, next time I'm out here today, I'll bring them out a little squash. Get out of here. And yeah, so far, so good. But they're growing up nicely, aren't they? What do you think, Sarah? She just wants to eat chicken poop. Get out. All right. Check in later. It's getting kind of cold out here, but today's the first day we have temporary fencing instead of the big fencing. Temporary fencing set up for the birds, see if they want to come out and check out outside for a little while, but they are pretty happy indoors. We're not going to force them to come out. They'll come out on their own when they're ready. So I'm just changing their water and giving them some more stuff to play with inside the coop, so let's go check that out. Alright, so I've got some squash I'm going to chop up to put in there. They like to check that out. Changing out the feeder, going to put in some of my homemade apple cider vinegar. Sarah is just obsessed with them. And then we'll put all this inside the coop with the babies. Alright, so filled up the grit, got the apple cider vinegar in the water. This is galvanized metal water, so you can't put apple cider vinegar in there. It'll mess up the metal. Got some more stuff for them to eat. I need to clean out their food. Give them some more food, but look how big they're getting. How big they're getting, and they love those squash. Those are those squash, I don't know what they are. I can't figure it out, but they're happy to peck at that, and almost all feathered up. Getting to be teenagers. There's Sarah digging in trying to get the chicken poop to eat. Her training's going well too. She's not trying to rush into the coop. She stands outside and just watches when I'm in here, because these chickens are my chickens. They're not her chickens, right? 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 Sarah? Yeah, well, maybe the poop is hers. Alright, so I'm going to clean these up, and that's your daily chicken update. Good girl, Sarah. Stay there. Gosh, they're all hungry. There's still food left in there, too. Checking it out. Good girl, Sarah. She wants to go in there so bad she's shaking. Okay, back up. That's enough for today. Good girl. Hey, hey. Good girl. Good girl.